Okay. All right.
Okay.
So the reason
So,
that I reached out to you, Marilyn, is because you reached out to me on Friday after I wrote something
yeah,
that was addressing this killing. And I was talking because I always uh, say I try to shine a light on goodness and hope. And I
yeah,
was using that analogy of light versus dark
yes,
in a most innocent way,
yeah,
in which I thought. And I got this message from you, who we did not know each other prior to this. We had some
no,
friends in common, but I'm going to read what you wrote to me. You said, "Thank you for your caring post about the recent police killing. I know your heart is in the right place. I just wanted to bring your attention to something that bothers us people of color. Dark and darkness are always associated with evil. And this thinking often spills over into the consciousness. Perhaps it could be better to use the term evil or hatred as opposed to dark or black day. It may appear trivial, but I wanted to respectfully and privately make this suggestion to you. I'm the mother of a black son and grandsons. My husband is a gentle giant of a black man. As such, my knees are stripped from constantly praying for their safety. God bless you for your heartfelt message and your kind words. They are more appreciated than you will ever know." And I have to thank you because there were two things that stood out to me. Was that you're absolutely right. I don't know what I don't know. But you could have publicly called me out on social media and you didn't. You reached out. You knew that my heart was in the right place, but that it could be, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And you
yeah,
pointed out that to me. And I thank you for that. And I thanked you for that. And that's why I wanted to talk with you, because we don't know what we don't know.
yeah,
And I don't know what it's like. I have a son, and
mm,
I I pray for my son's safety, but I never fear and had ever had to have the conversations that you've had to
yeah,
have with your son or your grandson.
yeah, yeah. And my grandsons just got the talk this week. Um, the youngest one is 10. The eldest one is 13. And living in Canada, we have, they've been fairly shielded from, the the kind of problems that are so prevalent in the US. But it's still here, and it's spreading this type of thinking, anti-immigrant, minority, whatever. So with everything on the news media, my son decided that, it was a good time to just kind of let them know the facts and just to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard because they haven't been, it's not something that we discuss at home all the time. Color doesn't come up. My daughter-in-law's mother is blonde, blue-eyed. Her father is black, green-eyed. She's, tan. My son is tan. I'm black, but fairly light-skinned. My husband's dark. So it's a potpourri.
Right.
You just never know what you're going to get when we have kids. So one grandson looks kind of Italian. The other one is clearly black. And we just had to have that talk with them. It breaks our heart to have to tell them this, but we're aware of all that's going on in the world. And we want to, just make them be aware for their own safety. But we don't paint all cops as bad. We don't paint all whites as racist. We don't paint all blacks as criminals. We don't paint all Muslims as terrorists. In our family, we just accept people one-on-one. We meet people, if they're decent people, we don't care what color or religion they are. We just love them and accept them. And if there are people that, for whatever reason, we live in a condo here, and we're one of a few Black families that live here, and we've been here 9 years now. We've made some beautiful friends, but still there are people who don't see us or won't speak to us, and that's okay. That's their prerogative. But the people we've met here who accept us and love us, we love them, we socialize, we don't. And I think that's the same for a lot of white families. They have friends, especially if you're, in multi-level marketing. You meet people from all walks of life and you accept them. But I think the takeaway that we have to do here is to learn to respect and speak to each other respectfully.
Yes.
I mean, on social media, everybody hides behind, this wall, and they feel free to say the worst things to people that they don't know, accuse people of being racist when they really aren't. And people accuse Blacks of, just being anti-cop or racist too against white people. And the majority of us are not. As I said before, it's like the 10% that gets the press, and they're the worst 10% in every race or religion or occupation.
It's extremism, yeah.
Exactly. And extremism in any form.
Right.
Be it Muslim, religious extremists are very, very dangerous and getting more so. Bigoted people, be they Black or white, or I know, Chinese, even Indians, whatever caste you are. If you're Hindu, you can't marry Muslim. If you're, white, you can't marry Black. Sometimes if you're Black, they don't want you to marry white. It's just, I think people just need to see each other's soul and not really worry about the exterior package. So, as I mentioned to you before, if you really want to get a good grasp of the African experience or the Black experience, there is the program called the African Americans. It's called Many Rivers to Cross, and it's on PBS, and it's a good place to start, to just see the transition, the beginning of slavery, the anger and pain that it has caused, and it's passed down from generation to generation. So if the minorities are not getting the proper education, then they can't function well in society. The same applies to anybody who doesn't get a proper education. Your earning power is curtailed, everything is diminished, and it impoverishes not just the families, but the whole country. So I think we need to edify each other, lift each other up, respect each other, and just try to see the other person's viewpoint.
Right.
So
sometimes it's uncomfortable, but I work a lot in the world of grief, and so many times people are suffering and people don't know what to say, so they choose not to say anything at all
yeah,
when someone's grieving. And it's the same in any difficult situation in life.
yeah.
And I feel that if it's said with respect and love, it's a lot easier to receive.
Yeah. And some people are a little bit more prickly. Some people take offense easily in every color. And I think if I had said something to you and I hadn't said it respectfully, that could have turned you off the entire process of trying to make a difference.
Right.
You would just figure, well, it's pointless. I'm just going to get in trouble if I try to help. I don't know what to say. And so we do need to just understand that sometimes you don't understand what's going on in our lives, and we don't understand things from your point of view. And I think one of the key things that will help is if you just get to know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You just get to know people that are different from you. I guess it's a little bit easier in Canada. My son went to an art school, and the classes were divided according to, whether they were in dance or music or visual arts or whatever. So it was a complete mix of society in each group. And he had friends a Chinese girl who left Toronto and went to the States and went to school there. And she was with a group of Chinese girls in school, because it was like, Chinese together, black together, white, whatever. And she saw somebody, black, I think, and she was going to go say hi. And the rest of them said, like, what are you doing? You don't cross that line. You don't go there. You don't reach out. You stay in your group. And I think that's the problem, is that people tend to stay in their group, and you only get, just like with social media, you get one side of the story. The algorithms are stacked, so they feed you what you press that you like. And so I think that's the reason why we're so polarized.
Right.
And it needs to stop. So we need to just not believe everything we hear on social media.
What
Because
would you like the good people of the world to do to bring attention to this, though? Because I've been recently called out by someone to use my voice and my platform for this, which is what I thought I was, using it in my own way.
yes.
And when I was saying, I don't know what else I'm going to do right now. I need to have conversations, and I need to educate myself, and I need to pray, and I need to meditate, and I need divine guidance for what I'm going to do next. And they told me that by stalling, that was white privilege. Do you think that's white privilege?
There definitely is white privilege. I don't think that was a case of white privilege. I think it's just a case of being cautious and not wanting to put a foot in the wrong direction, and not knowing exactly how to go about it. I think one thing everybody can do is just find the courage within your own group to reach out to your own people. If you hear them saying something that you know is not right, or that doesn't sit right within your heart, just say, respectfully, I have to disagree with that. Do you think you could look at it from a different point of view? Sometimes you have to know when to stop arguing and just let them be wrong. Mm-hmm. But I think if every person who wants to help just starts with their own circle, their own family, because in every family we have people that, don't hold the same opinion as us. Right. So, we can't even get along in our own families. So it's a lot more difficult to get along across race and religious lines. But you can make a difference just by questioning people, or just saying to them, did you hear what you just said? I have a friend from work who I've known for 30 odd years. She's like my daughter. And I remember when we just started working together, she made a joke. I mean, a racial joke. And I just stopped her and I said, that's wrong. You are associating a certain set of people as subhuman, and that's wrong. And she was like, oh, she was young. She was, just repeating what her friends said and what they thought was funny. But by me just saying, just stop and think about what you're saying, it made a difference. Mm-hmm. We are the best of friends. I love her. She's like my own daughter. But I was able to just get her to stop repeating nonsense, hurtful nonsense, mm-hmm. because she could have gone on to say it to people that would have taken it the wrong way. And, who knows where that might have led. So I think if we just start in our own families, and I definitely, in my family, I guess I'm a little bit more vocal than most. I have a couple of cousins, and when we disagree, we, say, look, I love you, but I don't agree with this, and I'll send them articles, they'll send me articles, and of course, neither one of us convinces the other around to our way of thinking. But at least I can say, where did you get that information? Did you check the source? Did you really think about it? Or is it just one extreme website that you're getting all this information from? And maybe I'm getting my information from the polar opposite site. But at least we can send each other information and just say, think about it. Think, is this what's really going on? Mm-hmm. So I think just starting in your own family is a good place. And regarding the light,
that's not always easy to do, because
I know,
there are some deep-seated beliefs that have occurred since childhood, and you grow up and you go, that was not right, that's not true,
yeah.
I don't believe that anymore. And you have to be strong enough to be able to say that.
Yes. I don't know, have you ever read the book called Educated?
No.
By Tara Westrover or something like that. It was a very enlightening book for me. It's one that I would suggest you read. But I think we just need to be kinder and gentler to each other, and try to see the other person's point of view. And I know with the violence that's going on now, it's been going on for centuries. With the looting, I know that's an issue. And I don't think that anybody thinks that is right, whether you're black or white. But I also think that there are people who are paid to escalate.
Right, I do too.
Issues. There are peaceful protesters, and people come in, and then there are opportunists who, yes, if the window is broken, I'm going to take something. Whether I was a peaceful protester or not, whether I'm black, white, green, pink, purple.
Exactly.
So, but I think there are bigger forces at play here that will benefit from the unrest. And I just hope that it can be, it can subside, and we can get back to speaking to each other and trying to understand each other. There will always be the factions who are dead set one race against the other, one religion against the other, and we're not going to change that. But if the majority of us just reach out, speak to each other respectfully, even if you take offense, like don't fly off the handle, don't call somebody racists or looters or thugs, or it just, the name calling doesn't help. We need to just put the ego down a bit and just see each other for what we're trying to say. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it will, it will get better. And with the light and the darkness, I know I grew up Catholic, I became evangelical. Now I'm kind of just saying, I'm not sure about some of the preachers out there. So I'm just reading my Bible and, speaking to my Lord myself. And I know in the Bible there's light and there's darkness, and there's that affiliation between goodness and light. But let me just put this out there. On Facebook now, there's this meme about Karen. Okay, Karen, the privileged person who calls the police on Black people, the people who are entitled. And I've seen where Karens worldwide are saying, I hate my name being affiliated with this sort of, to have this connotation of being this privileged white woman or entitled, and that's the same association over the eons of darkness, and it's a Black day in history, and it's a Black mark against, and it's a Black this, and it's always. So if you're just a little bit more cognizant, is it something that's evil? Is it hatred? Is it, just try to not perpetuate, because from Black being bad, the Black guy in the black hat is always the bad guy.
Right.
The guy in the black skin is usually the bad guy. It just continues, it snowballs. And in the same way the Karens are offended at the meme, you just need to be aware that this association spills over into skin color, it spills over into the whole perception of Black and dark. And I know that a lot of people take umbrage to it being perpetuated. So that's just my 2 cents worth.
Well, I
So I don't.
appreciate your 2 cents. I mean, I think that, you were just trying to educate me. You weren't trying to point a finger at me, and I appreciate that. You're just trying to educate me. And I truly do appreciate that, because, we're all trying to do our best as we can. I am trying to become more positive, focus on the good people versus the bad people. Most of us are the good people, and most of us need to take a step forward. And in the process of taking the step forward, the last thing I want to do is cause offense to someone.
But you really can't please all the people all the time.
No, you can't.
You know where your heart is. I know where your heart is. I could feel it in what you wrote, and I want you to know it's appreciated, because I see sometimes, especially if you have a business, you don't want to offend a certain segment of your clients, or you don't want to take a political stand, or you don't want to, you want to just keep your site as a business site. And sometimes it comes across as, wow, all of this is going on in the world, and really, you're worried about selling this, or posting your picture on the beach, and the rest of the world is hurting and burning on both sides. So your and Zoe's sentiments are appreciated more than you'll ever know, and it does make a difference. And people with the platform need to speak out, because the people who are being oppressed have been oppressed for centuries, and their voices don't make a difference. So I think this is where the privilege could be used for good, to just say, okay, this is wrong. Okay, it's clearly wrong, regardless of who did what, regardless of the color of the knee, the color of the neck. It's just wrong. And so just keep reaching out, keep, enlightening friends and family, or having a civil discussion about what is really going on, because it makes a difference. And if you do it in a non-combative way, it will make a difference. Case in point, both of us, we never knew each other until a couple of days ago. But do it in private, do it gently, kindly, and I think it will come across as we'll work it out. We'll work it out, and I hope and pray that we can work it out together and soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for reaching out. I really appreciate it. And I think all of your friends and business associates and everybody who is hurting will appreciate it. And if we could just be gentler and more understanding with each other, I think we could turn this around.